Hi, this is Bradley Compton, instructor for LNI Sci 120 Information Technology Ethics for the School of Information Studies at University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee. This is the Spring 2012 Meta-Theories lecture. In this lecture we'll be talking about meta-theories of absolutism, relativism, and pluralism. There are many other theories we could cover, but for brevity's sake, I thought I would just stick to these because I think they're the most important, and I don't want to make the lecture too long and laborious. And like I said in previous lectures, I make these lectures as kind of supplemental material to help you with the tools you need to address the topics that we cover in class. And so that's the purpose of this. This lecture will be more helpful to you if you have watched the Critical Thought and Writing and Analysis lecture first. And to recap some of what we've already talked about, again, ethics is the study of morality, and morality is what it is that we use to determine right and wrong. Unless we were talking about institutionalized codes of ethics, ethics attends to moral issues on which we have disagreement, where there's room for debate. In this course, we use ethical theory to address topics relevant to information technology, information professions, and the digital age. Meta-theories can stand alone, or they can be general orientations that other ethical theories take. For example, one can be a moral absolutist in a kind of pure sense, but one can also be a deontologist, which is a more specific form of absolutism. All theories have advantages and disadvantages. So our purpose here isn't to determine whether a theory is correct or incorrect, but rather it's to determine which theories are the most advantageous and which ones are the least disadvantageous. I'm not here to provide you correct answers, but I do want to point out correct and incorrect ways of answering questions. And a lot of that was covered in the Critical Thought and Analysis lecture. But just to give you a brief synopsis of some of the unacceptable answers that can be given are internally illogical arguments, arguments that just don't follow a logical format, statements that have little or no support, saying that everybody just knows this, or come on, you know this is true. Those kinds of things just don't really fly. I mean, if that's the case, then why are you taking the course? Why has this course been put together for students to study? Why is there this huge field of information ethics if everybody just knows it's the case that this is such and such? Furthermore, answers that are counterintuitive, that have no justification, all of these are incorrect ways to address problems that we cover. So let's begin. Absolutism. Absolutism states that there is a set of norms and beliefs that universally define right and wrong for all people, all places, and all times. So this naturally entails that those beliefs, norms, behaviors, different from what we know to be right and wrong, must be incorrect. These universals come from God, from our ancestors, from rational universal principles, mom and dad. They're just principles that are universal, set in stone, that define right and wrong. And I think that this is probably our first approach to ethical thinking. We think we, or others we respect, know what's right and wrong universally. This comes from childhood. I mean, mom and dad said not to cross the street without holding someone's hand. That is taken as a universal. I think our gut reaction to something, feeling that it's just wrong to do something, that's a what in some areas of philosophy would be called pre-reflective pre-reflective consciousness of a moral issue. It's just there's this kind of gut feeling that something's wrong, and that, I think, the first natural step to take is to consider that a universal, and to be an absolutist about it. And as I said, all theories have advantages and disadvantages, and absolutism has a pretty strong advantage. It has a set standard with which we can evaluate beliefs, norms, and behaviors. That's very convenient. That simplifies things a lot, because it may be a very monumental task to figure out what this set of principles is, but if we do, then we know what right and wrong is, and we have a rubric by which we can judge the rightness and wrongness of behaviors, or the rightness and wrongness of beliefs, from person to person and culture to culture. Absolutism has significant disadvantages, though. One is that there are multiple absolutist positions. So how do we determine which one of those is correct? What standard do we use to determine which absolutist set of principles is correct? If different groups feel that their set of principles are the absolute standard for right and wrong, then who is the judge of them? Who's to decide between them? They're all going to say that they're the ones that are right. Another problem is that moral issues don't seem to be subject to the same kind of verification methods as phenomena disclosed by natural science and mathematics and things of the like. And what I mean by that is that, you know, the methods of mathematics provides us knowledge that's, you know, 2 + 2 = 4. That's just obviously correct, and we can verify that. We can verify that chemically water is composed of hydrogen and oxygen at the molecular level. So when it comes to issues like, is it wrong to download music for which you didn't pay, when you're supposed to pay for it under copyright law? Is that okay, considering the world that we live in and the means by which we can do that today? Some would say that we do have those tools, but it seems a lot slipperier and softer. You know, finding an answer to that just is much more difficult, because there's room for debate on that. There really isn't room for debate on the chemical composition of water. You know, it's H2O. That's what it is. And finally, another disadvantage of absolutism is that it leads to intolerance. Now, because of course, if I feel or believe, even correctly, that I hold the correct standard set of moral beliefs concerning beliefs, norms, and behaviors, then I'm not going to be tolerant of others' views on those things. Now, one might see that as a disadvantage, but an absolutist would consider that, and probably many other theoretical or ethical theoretical orientations wouldn't consider that necessarily a disadvantage, because if something is morally wrong, then by God, we probably should not tolerate it. One should not tolerate that which is immoral. You know, if it's wrong to target innocent civilians, tolerating that is not a good thing. So intolerance of it would be a good thing, and that would be an advantage to an ethical theory. So that can go either way with that one. Let's look at some examples of absolutist arguments. And remember from the critical thought and analysis lecture that an argument consists of this format of premise, 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 conclusion. Premises are statements, and the conclusion is a statement that is supposed to follow from those premises. And we're gonna let's look at WikiLeaks, the topic of WikiLeaks, which we will cover in a couple of weeks. Here, and these are both arguments concerning WikiLeaks, and they're disagreements, and they're both absolutist. So this is to show, because a lot of times I see students look at certain theories and see them as only having one interpretation, and there are many interpretations you can have from within a particular theoretical orientation. So you can have two absolutist positions on one topic, and those two positions disagree, and that is what I call an intra-theoretical disagreement. It's a disagreement occurring from within the orientation of absolutism. And here are examples. Disclosing classified government information is wrong. WikiLeaks discloses classified government information. Therefore, WikiLeaks' whole raison d'etre, its whole reason for existence, is wrong. Example 2. Freedom of information is a universal good. WikiLeaks increases freedom of information. Therefore, WikiLeaks' reason for existence is good. So we're seeing two arguments there. One says that WikiLeaks is bad, and the other says that it's good, but both of them are absolutist. Again, this is what I call an intra-theoretical disagreement. You can also have inter-theoretical disagreements. You can have a disagreement that is an absolutist argument between an absolutist argument concerning WikiLeaks and a relativist argument concerning WikiLeaks. So that shows you how complex bringing your critical thought and reasoning into this can be. There are many angles and avenues you can explore and try to find the different ways in which someone might object to your position on something, or ways in which you can object to something.